Mom, where did you pick?
Indish.
So we are going to walk inside, order a ton of awesome Indian food, but even more importantly than that, share a family moment with all of you, introducing my family to all of you. This is going to be fun.
All right.
So I order takeout from Indish all the time, and I love this restaurant. In my opinion, they cook the most clean, the most healthful feeling Indian food that I think I've ever had. So I order at home for us all the time. But I've only been here once, and we were here together with Bank and Rima. And then ever since then, Mom has said, oh yeah, that's such an awesome restaurant. So we are back again tonight. We are gonna order some awesome food, and I do love this restaurant, but I want to take a special moment to introduce my parents to you. So that is really more the purpose of this video. Mom and Dad, how long have you stayed in Thailand?
Oh, let's see. We first started living here full time in the summer of 2018. First off, I think in Chiang Mai.
Here in Chiang Mai, that's right.
Yeah, we went to the States, and when we came back, because Lee was living in Khon Kaen at that time, Joel said, "Why don't we get a place together in Khon Kaen?" So, at the beginning of 2019. Mom and I were, very happy living in Khon Kaen, and we just really enjoyed it. As that year progressed, we came and visited Chiang Mai a couple more times, and that Chiang Mai just made more sense. It was always a lot of extra travel to come in and out of Khon Kaen because we'd have to always fly into Bangkok and then up to Khon Kaen. So even though we enjoyed it, we realized our lives would be a little simpler if we moved here, and so we moved here in May of 19 and then stayed all the way until March of 20 when, we very innocently flew out of the country to make a normal trip and then just didn't come back because COVID shut the world down, which also shut us out of Thailand for almost 2 years. We just got back here in January.
So, although that was pretty inconvenient and it was hard to handle for all of us around the world, it was hard for our family. Actually, because of how I grew up and because of how they chose to spend their lives, I was kind of used to such a situation as that. It might also sound funny, but that is maybe why, for me, it's so normal to do all this traveling. And I will ask them those big questions after we order. It does smell awesome, so thank you for listening to the introduction of the video and kind of why we are in Chiang Mai as a family in the first place. Kind of one by one, we all came up here. But yeah, I'll order the food, and then I'm gonna ask why we moved around so much to begin with. What's your name?
AJ.
AJ.
Yeah.
AJ, I've had the pleasure of eating your fabulous food from home at least 20 times, but I've only been now to your actual restaurant for the second time. So thank you for welcoming us, always with amazing flavors and always very clean. I appreciate you cook full flavor, but also I go and cycle the next day and I feel great. And I cycle very strong.
And anybody complaining that they have bad stomach for eating.
But just like heavy, you don't use much
Use
butter,
minimum oil.
It's so awesome.
Flavors excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Up in the north of Delhi. Yeah. South of Kashmir, north of Delhi.
You said you got palak paneer last time, so how about shahi paneer? Or methi?
Or methi.
Do you know what methi is?
It's got the fenugreek, right?
Very good.
Yeah.
Methi paneer. Thank you.
Shall we do...
So chickpeas feature a lot, especially when there are many vegan options like they have here. And then Lee likes potatoes, so there's an awesome one with cauliflower, aloo gobi.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I like goat or beef a lot also.
So if you want to do the chicken vindaloo, that's totally fine with me. The whole vindaloo spice. That's
Mutton kadai.
But not that
For
one,
you.
this one.
We had that one last time.
Okay.
Dad said we try all new dishes.
Yeah.
And then, what did you say? Chicken what?
I said either the chicken kadai or the chicken curry.
So one of our family favorite foods is Indian, but you have to realize probably 15% of the entire planet Earth's family favorite food is Indian. So it is a wonderfully recognizable cuisine and so cool to have Indian food in all these different countries all over the world. So when I'm even when I was a backpacker, I would look for like budget Indian food, and then now that I don't have to be on such a budget like that, I can have Indian food at nicer places like this. Actually, the prices here though are really, really good. So in all of our moving around though, there is still a reason for that. I was not just living in one place until the age of 20 and then took a gap here and went backpacking. I had already lived in 7 different countries before I came to Thailand, and that is because of them. So again, meet my parents. They're here with me having dinner, like they do many nights a week because we live together, but they live here from time to time. They live in other places from time to time. But growing up, we lived in a ton of different places from time to time. So I think we've moved maybe like 30 or 40 different times. I don't know.
Yeah, you lost
It would
track
be
after
hard
a
to
while.
count. So why is that? Where did you meet? What did you want to do after you met? Why did you raise me like this?
We certainly didn't plan to move around so much.
Oh, okay.
In fact, when I grew up in the same house, went to the same church, same school district. My parents had the same jobs, but when we went to college, we actually met at Bible college, and we met people from different countries and different cultures, and it was suddenly very interesting. And so we thought, hey, we're newly married, we don't have children, let's go on an adventure. And we learned so much from that 1 year of living in West Africa before we had children, and we just loved it. I mean, we loved learning from the people we met. And I think that's something that when you move around, you learn. You're not teaching them, they are teaching you. And they have so much to teach us, and we have so much to learn. And we have just been grateful for all we've learned. But anyway, when we went back to the States, we had Joel, and then we had his sister Marissa, and we went back to West Africa with 2 little kids. So Joel was 3 years old the first time he went to West Africa, and Marissa was 2. And we didn't know that a war was going to start shortly after we arrived. War came to Liberia, and it was very sad and traumatic, and we had to leave, and people there really suffered. And so we were forced to start moving around when Joel was little. So we thought we would live in one country for a long time, and we ended up living in 3 different West African countries. And then Mark had an eye issue where we had to go home and get some medical treatment for him. And I will let you take it from there.
Yeah, so initially we thought that, Mom and I both had a desire that our lives would be a blessing to other people, and we both felt a very strong desire to, share Jesus with people. And so we thought of places where he was not well known, and thought of ways that we might spend our lives that we could make him known. And one of my big interests was in radio, and so in Africa we found a place where we could work. For me at a big shortwave radio station, and for Mom really had an interest in medical and nursing work. And I mean, she's a nurse now. Back then she was still working towards getting her nursing certification, but she was able to work at a hospital. So she worked at a local African hospital, and I worked at a radio station. And the war came to that country and sort of disrupted our plans to spend our lives doing that. So when we came back to the U.S., Joel talked about all this moving around. We had we didn't have a home then because, of course, we had moved to Africa. And so we had to just stay with friends. We stayed with some family members. Our church helped us out for a while and let us stay in an apartment that they own, that they make available to people who do the work that we do. And so after about 3 or 4 months, we had recovered from the trauma of going through that evacuation for the war, and so we went to the African country of Ghana, and we worked in Ghana in a refugee camp primarily serving Liberians who had fled the war. And God just amazingly brought us into this camp, not even knowing that there were people in that camp that we knew from Monrovia. And Mom was just walking in the camp. There were 6,000 people there, all in tents. And somebody called out her name because they recognized her. And we went over and then, began connecting with them. And ultimately, Mom and I, went out there multiple times every week to minister to people. Joel was just a little guy. Marissa was there as well. And they made a lot of friends in that camp. We moved on, as Mom said, to Nigeria after about a year. And so lived in Nigeria until my eye problem, which was caused primarily from contracting malaria. So I had malaria a lot of times. And so from basically 1992 until the end of 96, we were just doing a surgery every few months, and I won't bore you with all the details of that because it was really unpleasant and painful, but God took care of us, and we were able to work during those years, but our heart was always to go back to Africa. And so we, at the time, were thinking, we'll go back to West Africa. We kept waiting for Liberia to open. I went back and visited Liberia 3 times while the war was going on, and each time tried to rebuild. The house that Mom and I lived in was totally destroyed, and so we lost a lot of our personal possessions in that, but God spared our lives and the lives of our family, and so we were grateful for that. So we just waited for God to open a new door for us, and ultimately it was in the country of Kenya. So here we started out in Liberia, West Africa, and ended up moving all the way across Africa to Kenya, which you can't go any more east. You're in the Indian Ocean. And we didn't know at that time, but God gave us 7 wonderful years in Kenya, and Joel had the chance to go from basically 6th grade till he graduated, and Marissa from 4th grade till she graduated, and our youngest daughter Alana went from basically kindergarten to 6th grade there. And we had just a wonderful time, and those years in Africa I still look back at as the sort of the best years of our family life. We were doing what we loved, and we were able to do it with our family there and make a difference in the world, hopefully making the lives of people better. The opportunity that we have to connect with people from so many different cultures and experience just our spiritual life with them, to get their insights and to just realize we, at the core, we have the same belief and our faith in Christ and in the power of the Holy Spirit in our lives is just a central core piece of who we are. And to connect with so many other people from so many other cultures and to have that in common just creates an instant bond. And I think that for what we do, I think that's one of the huge, if you want to call it like a personal benefit or the personal blessing for us. That's just been so special. I couldn't even really put that into words adequately to say how much that means to me.
So there is. So I thank you for sharing all that. You might want one of my many drinks
How many do you have?
to have a break. Thank you so much.
Oh, look at the food
for
coming.
telling us all those stories. We have some
Is mutton halal?
mutton.
Chicken halal?
Thank you. Oh, they were classed here. This is awesome.
Is penna?
Thank you. Wow, thank you very much. Sometimes I don't even order water. This time I got a lassi for us to share. My parents have one to share as well. So a lassi is just like a cooling yogurt. Oh, it's sweet. You might think it's milk, but then it's a very thick milk. You can taste some sourness as well. And when you do visit Pakistan, India, and Sri Lanka, you will learn to appreciate curd. You will learn to appreciate yogurt. Something like raita or lassi is just a treat. Oh man. Chana saag. Chana is chickpea. Oh my gosh, this food is so good here.
I know.
What did you pick for your first one? Which curry?
I tried this one here.
Yeah.
The eggplant.
Yes.
I think it is the eggplant.
Bangan masala.
There you are.
Abundance.
That is so good.
This is my own spoon. I lost it in here.
So naan is wonderful, but I appreciate the whole wheat, which is the roti. I'm gonna go for some of that eggplant as well. It's one of my favorites.
Goodness. That alugati, so good.
So soft, the eggplant. A little spicy. Onions are also awesome in that dish. It's just all about the texture though, the soft eggplant. The next one I went to is the chicken. Very creamy curry. The milk in that one is awesome, but then the ginger is what stands out. Like really fresh ginger and really thick strips of ginger. The chicken itself is very mild. White meat. Yeah, you want to lick your fingers after that one. And mom is cooling down with the raita.
Eyes are watering.
Oh, sorry, not raita. Lassi.
Ooh, spicy, but delicious.
I used to think that my mom can handle very spicy food, but over the years I realized she is just very cool. She tries every food, but actually she doesn't really love spicy food, but she's so awesome. She just tries every food, even if she knows it's spicy. I always appreciate that. So for many years I thought that you also like spicy food, but no, only Dad likes spicy food.
That started for us in West Africa because
Give the last
Liberians.
piece of
So that was in West Africa?
Yeah, so when we went to Liberia, that was the first time Mom and I just had like regularly like chilies added to the food because you know both our parents, well my parents' background is southern. The Liberians would eat a variety of different greens, chopped up very fine and then cooked in oil, and then lots of either like bits of fish, tomatoes, other vegetables, and then lots of pepper, very spicy. And so just gradually our tolerance for that grew and grew, and we realized, wow, we're just, from a culinary kind of perspective, we realized that most of our lives we'd missed out on some of the really wonderful flavors. And then so you guys grew up without ever knowing that that wasn't part of a normal diet, because by then we cooked food spicy all the time, you know.
I remember that being one of the, I was such a picky eater my whole life. And that was probably the number one thing I was most nervous about moving overseas, was the food. How was I going to get used to eating food that wasn't familiar to me? But I obviously learned. I didn't waste away to nothing. I survived.
Mom was so
And
funny.
I actually appreciate good food now.
Mom was so funny when I met her. She didn't like salad dressing, so she would just have plain, you know, salad lettuce with other raw vegetables on her salad.
I see who I get that from then.
She never would eat ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard, barbecue sauce, A1, like everything.
Nothing.
You know, nothing with any seasoning or like condiment of any kind. Yeah, I was always, everywhere we'd go, I need this to be ordered plain. And I'm like, we live overseas. We don't, you know, And so gradually her taste palette just kept growing and broadening and broadening. And I mean, we eat Indian food and Ethiopian food and Thai food and Chinese food, the spiciest
better.
foods in the world, you know?
and the mung bean.
You like that okra, huh?
We got okra last time, but we did not get mung beans last time.
I want mung bean. That green.
I like the paneer.
It's very good.
Thank you for the lamb. Okay, of the whole table. I'm sure that was the single most tender bite. Very fatty lamb. Thank you for that. I had a work day today. So did Lee, but she was even harder working than I was. As soon as she got home, she went on a bike ride, so she is hungry enough that she ordered one more dish.
2.
Oh, two.
You didn't order the second one, but I remind you.
My favorite dish so far, though, is definitely the chana saag.
You like it because it's green?
It's just
Remind
so
you eat something
hearty.
green?
I wouldn't even call that a very healthy dish, but it's just so hearty. The spinach is so creamy, tiny bit spicy, but the chickpeas are not cooked until they're like falling apart. Oh,
What's
thank you.
another dish name?
สั่งเพิ่มด้วยเดามากันเผ็ดมากด้วย Yet another classic, the bindi, the lady fingers, the okra. Oh man.
And it's
Look how
very
many-
obvious, not ordered by me. I really thought that the name is lady finger.
Indians call it lady.
Oh,
It is a fun name, but I mean there are hundreds of words around the world for this vegetable.
in Chinese?
Qiu Pui.
Awesome.
Should I tell your friends what Dad and I are doing tomorrow? Mark and I to do a little event tomorrow. So you know Joel's a cyclist, and back home,
I didn't know you were doing this tomorrow. Okay, go ahead. Wow.
so Joel is a cyclist, and our youngest daughter and her husband are training to run a 10K event, and our middle daughter is training to do a sprint triathlon with one of her friends. So we got like, hey, we can do something, and we found out about a sprint, senior sprint triathlon, and so he and I have been training since we arrived in Thailand. Joel's been giving us hints on cycling, and we've been swimming and power walking. We're not going to run, we're going to power walk. But we're going to do that tomorrow. 400 meters swimming, and then a 20K cycling ride around Chiang Mai, and end with a 5K power walk. So I'm sure we'll survive.
Impressive. It's so cool.
But it was inspired by you. Our kids have inspired us. We have never been very athletic, but
Living in Africa all those years, we weren't able to really pursue those kinds of sports. But once we finally got back home again, we've made cycling part of our lives for a
we've
long
never
time.
done like a real event like we're gonna do tomorrow.
Mom, you are inspire me also, and then I need to learn how to swimming. Did you hear me? I need to learn how to swimming.
Thank you for saving me the last piece of paneer cheese also. I did not try this one yet.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't eat it.
Thank you. It almost looks like it has mushrooms in it. I don't know if it's a leaf or if it's a mushroom. Yes, the one more dish is coming. Oh, that's so hot.
Oh yes, that one. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. This one is very tasty. For me, it's like mung bean.
It's straight from northern India, so I cannot wait until the day when I can have this dish in the north of India. So it is a lentil, but it's a black lentil, and it also has the rajma, which are the red kidney beans. So lentils, rajma, and sometimes there are other beans in here, but it focuses on the dark lentils, the brown lentils. And it's going to be very hot because they just brought it. I saw she had to set it down before moving it.
We could finish this.
You want any more rice? Mom always made us afraid of eating the bay leaf. If I was
Had
ever
fear.
afraid or ever disliked any food, it was. Do you remember the vegetable the only food that I really
Celery.
didn't like? Okay, yep. Celery was the only food, and it lasted a long time
Yeah.
until I was in my 20s. But one food I was afraid of was this, because my sister loved pasta, so Mom would make spaghetti very frequently, and she would always put a bay leaf in the sauce. She would always make everything herself, and we were always terrified of eating the bay leaf.
Cut the inside of your mouth.
Yeah, but cut your damage your little tummies.
Mine and try these are very tasty. These are very tasty.
Okay.
I like this a lot.
Don't have anything like to soak it up with. I hope I won't drip it all the way across.
Well, that is good.
Oh, wow. Flavors. Oh, the spices are so good.
Lee said,
Good choice, Lee.
do you taste how much cumin?
I don't know how much cumin. For me, they are mung bean. They are very tasty. I love it. This one really is so tasty. But they never can make it spicy. Do you feel spicy, Mom?
No.
Renzo says
It's a little bit spicy.
super spicy and it's enough. Wow. Maybe the one reason I love them so much because they're so hot.
Yeah.
Oh. Hot in temperature.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're like steaming, right? It's just like the same amount.
These three colors, they match your shirt.
So of the 3 chutneys, this one is mint, this one has turmeric, but it's going to be sour and a little bit spicy, and this one I'm just guessing it's spicy. I don't actually know what. Interesting. It almost tastes like a barbecue sauce. So it must have tomatoes. It's sweet. It's not spicy. So I guess the other one is spicy. And then this one is easy to know what to expect. It's so green like that. It's minty, it's sour. Oh, that one is, funny enough, more spicy than the red one. And then this one is going to be shallots or onions, sometimes carrots. And there are chilies in there. But it's yellow from the turmeric, which is awesome, which is basically why curries are called curry, right? Even in Chinese, curry is turmeric, right?
I don't know what's turmeric.
The yellow.
The yellow should be just like garlic, so garlic.
It was not until I was in maybe 7th or 8th grade, which would be 13 years old. We were having dinner with some Somali friends, and they eat everything with their hand. But interestingly enough, the Italian influence in that part of the world means that Somalis eat spaghetti. They eat pasta as a staple, but they traditionally eat with their hands. So I remember from that meal, whether I liked the food or not, I remember it's so fun to eat with your hands, and it's such a trick to eat cleanly.
Can twirl the pasta noodles around their fingers and put it in their mouth without like big long trailing ends of the pasta noodles. I've had envious of that skill. That's why
I think you know me already, so why not? Why not ask Mom and Dad? Why do you think that I became like this, or what? In high school, I know that I was a very rude, very not patient, very selfish kid. I know many teenagers like that, but I know I was very much a selfish teenage boy. And was there something that you noticed, or did you still believe that I would pull through it, or was there something that you saw me do that changed? I don't know. There's a
I can think of
lead up for that story.
I can think of
No, but you and I used to talk a lot about what can we do for these kids. We're living here in Africa, but most of their life is spent at school all day. They're not really interacting with the African culture. And it's fine, because the school they went to was preparing them to come back and be Americans. It wasn't the job of the school to help them love Africa. That was our job. And so we talked often about what are some of the things that we can help the kids do that didn't require them having to learn the language of the people that we worked with, and something they could do locally. And
I remember giving them some choices.
right. So each summer, we knew that they couldn't do much during the school year because with homework and sports and everything else, it was a lot to try to add something else to the schedule.
Yeah.
But during the summers, you always had a plan for each kid, how they were going to Like, what were you going to involve yourself in this summer that will make a contribution to the community?
And so some of the choices were, I'm glad you can edit this. Okay. So we gave them some choices, and one summer, Joel decided to go to an orphanage that he actually had to get on a matatu and drive away.
What's a matatu?
A matatu is a public van that's crammed with people, and he would hop on, and I would be a little nervous, but it was only a couple miles away, but he learned how to hop on and hop off. And
He was like 13 or 14.
No, this was maybe
High
15, 16.
Okay.
it was high school. So he chose to go to an orphanage, and I said, well, you can't just go and hang out there. You have to do something. And so he decided to start a soccer program at this orphanage. And by the end of the summer, he had changed. And it was amazing to see, because everybody at that age becomes very inward, and he learned, this is something I like, and he found that when he helped them learn something and enjoy it, they could enjoy it together. He taught more.
So he organized, basically an entire soccer league. So he had like 6 teams, put all the kids on different teams, and they practiced together, and then they had a big tournament at the end of the year. And a lot of fun. The kids had a great time, and Joel learned a lot about just being less selfish and less motivated by his own things.
Well, I can't say that I
Just chicken.
even still feel grown up yet, but at 35, something I appreciate about being a teacher, or having been a teacher for 11 years, we are all students, but not just in school, right? We are all still learning about ourselves, and it's very important to me to be honest about ourselves and how ignorant we are, but how we can still be in this position and still be full of love and have love overflowing towards others. And again, that's something that comes from above us and greater than us, but we are so lucky to know the love of God and have so much energy in our bodies and so much, hopefully, life left to live, to do good stuff. So thanks for listening to these stories. Thanks for sharing this meal with us. And Mom and Dad will not be with us for the next 8 to 10 live streams, also known as weeks.
Yeah.
So travel safe, Mom and Dad.
Thanks so much.
And we will see you back. Thanks for being in so many of these videos in the past few weeks. Also, we went up to Doi Intanon. We did a few downtown. It was great. We had the best part of the year as far as weather, but also just so grateful to be able to do stuff again after we were kind of month by month wishing we could hang out with each other month by month for like 24 months. And now we finally can have 2 back-to-back months of just relaxation and fun in the nice Thai weather. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. So much to be thankful for. Travel safe. See you soon.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you all. It's been great to spend these weeks with you and Lee, and we look forward to many more.
Okay, thank you. Hey, thank you.
Bye-bye.